Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you guys are listening to this. Welcome back to another edition of the Layman's AI podcast. I am Adam,
And my name is Brian.
and we're here to talk about probably one of my other favorite topics, other than AI, to talk about. Brian, I don't know where this ranks in terms of one of your favorite topics to talk about, but
hmm
I know you and I always seem to talk about this topic even when we're prepping for an AI episode. So
Yep.
um, it's
Uh,
probably,
I'd, I'd say it's in my top 10.
yeah, it's in the
I'd say
top
it's in
10.
my top 10 for sure.
Okay.
I'm not too much crazy, but it's definitely an enjoyable one,
Okay.
I'd say.
Well, I'm a lifelong crazy sports fan.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
You do what you gotta do. You live how you gotta live. We only live once,
hmm
and I
Exactly.
love sports. And today, Brian and I thought we would take a couple minutes to talk about AI and sports, in particular,
hmm
how we're starting to see it more and more and more in this thing that I love called sports.
Yes. Yeah, this is kind of one of those sort of yeah, I'm not sure how you'd put it. Kind of interesting topics, really. Like it's sort of
Yeah,
like an in-betweener. I don't think it's really integrated the sports world yet because everyone kind of thinks like, oh, you don't want to watch robots play sports. That's no fun. But there are elements of AI that could creep into the sports spectrum. Is it good? Is it bad? I guess we're gonna talk about that, aren't we?
we're gonna talk about that. But you just jogged my memory. You know, you said robots playing sports, and
hmm
you instantly took me to when we were in high school. And I'm gonna punch myself for not knowing the answer to this. What was that show where the robots battled each other inside the
BattleBots.
battle bots? That was awesome to watch.
You literally said it, but yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Sorry.
well, well, BattleBots is a different thing. You're creating like tiny war machines, and that's pretty cool.
I
But
agree.
as far as playing baseball, football, soccer,
Right.
hockey, basketball, yeah, you can. I think China had that robot that can make like a billion three-pointers in a row.
Hmm.
Yeah, not exciting at all.
No, not.
The human element is what make sports enjoyable, not just to play, but to also watch. So,
Right.
but it doesn't mean that AI can't come into this at
Yes.
all either.
And
So it's going to be it's kind of interesting, to be honest with you.
I think so. I think we're talking about this a little quicker than you and I thought we would be talking about AI's impact on sports. When
hmm
we first started the podcast over a year ago now, I don't think we would have thought AI and sports is going to be a topic that we would talk about just a year from now. We thought that would probably be 2 or 3 years from now. But
hmm
here we are discussing it because most recently, the NBA has made some big news in May of 2026, and we're recording this first week in June of 26.
hmm
Commissioner Adam Silver, for those of you who don't know, he's the commissioner of the NBA. He confirmed that the league is moving towards an AI system that makes objective calls, like out of bounds and line violations, it'll make them automatically, while leaving subjective fouls up to the humans.
hmm
If you're unaware, I believe it was AAA baseball has been kind of working on this as well in terms of challenging umpires' calls in the moment. They've been using a little bit of an AI replay system where
hmm
it'll show you the box, the strike zone, and the pitcher or the catcher can challenge, or the batter can challenge as well.
hmm
And I, having been at a AAA baseball game where I first saw that used, I was surprised it did not slow the game down at all. I actually
hmm
thought it was good, strategic.
Yeah,
And
Major League Baseball, I think, is using it now too, aren't they?
it's moved up since then. Since I watched it live, Major League Baseball is now using that same system. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this is kind of like an interesting thing with objective or subjective. Out of bounds line violations.
Hmm.
I can kind of see maybe a little bit of it because if you're stepping out of bounds or what have you, or you're stepping out of the three-point line, I guess. But here's kind of what should I say? He's addressing eliminating replay delays and fan frustration with flopping. Um, I don't know how AI is going to prevent flopping, essentially. That's kind of uh subjective, in my opinion, because they said they're using subjective calls
Yeah.
towards
I,
human refs.
I got to be honest, Brian. This is my football ignorance, and you know me. I'm the football guy.
hmm
I
Yeah.
know nothing about flopping.
Yeah,
I don't know if you did it in football, you weren't playing football. Um,
yeah, no, you don't. There's no flopping in football. If you're flopping in football,
yeah,
you're like doing you're
bad.
just suck. But
Yeah.
for lack of better terms, but no, I mean flopping in basketball. There's been a lot of complaints about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Basically, if you bump into somebody, then someone like exaggerates or whoa, and then flies back and acts like they got pushed so much harder than they really did. I know LeBron James has been accused of it over and over again.
Hmm.
Probably because he's the most famous player and people just want to, hate on him or what have you. But it's I don't know. It's kind of like subjective, to be honest with you. I had another train of thought going into that, but like really, you just don't call it. In my opinion, like if somebody flops, just don't call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like getting bumped in and like flying all over the place. I don't know how AI can help with this.
I'm not
Because
sure either.
yeah,
Um,
like so if you're talking about flopping and using AI, I think you need to reassess how you were going to go through with this. To
I
be
hate
honest
to
with you.
I hate to get technical with a non-AI thing like flopping, but my boys play hockey, and I will tell you that in hockey there is a thing called embellishment, where if
Hmm.
you embellish the penalty, that's a penalty, or if you embellish your behavior or
Hmm.
act, it's a penalty. I've seen it called. It's a
Yeah.
thing. That'll
Yeah.
stop it real fast, but
Yeah, d yeah, definitely. I just think don't call it.
yeah.
Like it's like okay, you were barely bumped. I'm not calling anything. You're on the ground and you're putting yourself at a defensive disadvantage now. So, I'm not even
Mhm.
gonna pay attention to that call. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this works and
But
everything.
I do love the idea of if it speeds up the game, because one of the
Hmm.
problems with sports in general, with replay, it takes too darn long. So
Hmm.
if you can speed up whether or not the foot was on the line, whether or not they were out of bounds, I think
Hmm.
it's better for the players. It's definitely better for the fans. It's I'm okay with this. I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah, out of bounds, I can see trying to use that. I wouldn't want like if you're watching an NBA game, like every single, time that they even like start going out of bounds, it just starts like going off or what have you. But like something like that, because if you're watching an NFL game and somebody throws a red challenge flag and said, I think he stepped out of bounds, you're sitting there waiting like 15 minutes, like, okay, and the ref is sitting there like, okay, show me this angle, and
And
going back and forth, and AI
meanwhile,
can just zoom, boom, no, he was in bounds, boom, he was out of
yeah,
bounds. We're moving
amen.
on.
It's so funny to me. In my opinion, in the NFL, the average fan who knows the sport could do a better job with replay than the NFL can,
Yeah,
and much faster. I joke about this all the time. You, me, could sit down, watch a replay, and probably make a decision in 15 seconds, and say
yeah,
that's it,
exactly.
go.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
even after replays, I question some of their decisions, but I'm not
Hmm.
there. But
Yeah.
stuff like that, like out of bounds, you just challenge it, and bam, decisions made, move on. So it's kind of interesting to see how that will
Yeah.
work out. I just wonder how much it's going to stretch into, to be honest with you.
Time will tell. Time will
Yeah,
tell.
definitely.
And I think we're going to talk about that in another segment. But
Yeah.
for one of the first segments I wanted to talk about is where we have seen an impact on AI, and I've even witnessed it with one of my sons. And that is the athlete level in terms of the performance and even the coaching of the athlete. There is some
Hmm.
pretty neat stuff. Again, this is kind of tied to health, so it's a little bit of some of the things we discussed last week. So I
Yeah.
won't go too much into depth, but AI has been really good for tracking the biomechanics.
Hmm.
There's lots of AI things that will break down either a practice, a conditioning session, or a game.
Hmm.
There's tons of Catapult, Huddle, Zebra. I think that's what the NFL uses, and it can give you real-time information. So it's really interesting. Like I keep saying, my boys play youth hockey, and they have a thing called shifts, and you see how long the shifts are.
Hmm.
There is an AI component that will watch the game from a camera live, and you will know how much ice time your kid has in that moment or right after the game.
Hmm.
And I think the coaches hated probably because, you got a parent, well, why come my kid didn't get as much time as the other? And,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just long. It just happens. Sometimes you get stuck on the ice. It happens.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but that's in there.
Hmm.
Another thing is that there was where was the stat that I really liked? Oh boy, I think it had something to do with soccer, right? historical example of Liverpool folded
Hmm.
AI into training and match analysis on its way to the 2019 championships in their league run.
Hmm.
That comes from Idea Usher. That's the source for that. That was really interesting how they were using that. And there are some things that you could do for performance enhancing, which is pretty cool. What I mean by that is I don't know if you've seen the images. It's big in football. I know they're using it in hockey now. Men look like they're wearing like a sports bra almost. I don't know if you've seen
Hmm.
this or not, but and it's soccer as well. When I watch Welcome to Wrexham, I see them wearing it sometimes. It almost
Yeah.
looks like a male sports bra. Is it a bro or a man's ear? I don't know. That was an episode of
Yeah.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I
But
remember that.
what that is, it's tracking their performance during the practice when their heart rate
Hmm.
hits peak, if they're actually pushing themselves to be 100% when they're doing a drill.
Hmm.
Really neat analysis stuff that you could take a look at because as a coach, I can know who's working hard, who's not working as hard.
Hmm.
It's going to force the player to practice better, which I think is a huge deal. So I think
Yeah.
there's some very good positives there with that.
Yeah, I mean potentially. But then you worry about a faulty system,
Oh
and everything
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Or, if they're getting a cramp or what have you, and you're not gonna like obviously you can't, run as fast if you have a cramp, but if you're still
Hmm.
pushing yourself through the cramp, you're still working hard and showing it. Like, how are
Hmm.
those metrics gonna measure up?
Right.
And like if I'm sitting here with a cramp and I'm trying to nurse it, but I'm still pushing through. And then they look at the pure metrics of everything and said, "Oh, by the way, you weren't practicing that hard," and you have to explain that you have a cramp, and they kind of say, "Oh, you're just making an excuse and everything." So it's like, I don't know. I just kind of wonder how far we're going to take it and everything.
Hmm.
But another kind of biomechanics type thing here. Um, for baseball, you can spot fatigue in a pitcher. With millions of data points, machine learning algorithms can flag when a pitcher's release point drops by a fraction of an inch or when their rotation slows down. Um, this is kind of intense right here.
I
Um,
agree.
and I think you can do it to sort of measure, be like, okay, how far does this typically go before,
Hmm.
th this pitcher gets tired, or how many pitches on average should I start watching out for? But if you use this
Yeah,
to make your decisions, you're removing the human element, in my opinion.
you certainly are. And we all know there's some pitchers that would start every game on fire, fastball, fastball. Then they knew they were getting tired. Then they would throw
Yeah.
some finesse pitches in their repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking that out of it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you're the coach that goes to that, maybe you're the coach who goes, okay, he's getting tired, but he's still striking guys out. Nobody's getting on base. I'm keeping him in. Great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's your call as the coach. But it is something you want to
Yeah.
know. I think it's going to start like that. I wonder how it's going to be in other sports.
Yeah.
Like water polo and soccer. I mean, no kidding, they're going to be tired. Everybody knows those are exhausting workouts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of maybe for informative purposes, I can see that would be good. Because like you can tell, how long can a player go before we start having to change the game plan?
Yeah.
Because even though fatigue is set in, you and I have both played sports. The first, inning, first quarter, first period or whatever, that's fast. Everybody is zipping, everybody is at their peak and everything. Then everybody gets tired, towards the end, and that's when like the real athletes start to show and start to
Yeah.
shine. And that's when you start to see, the head games and everything and working in that regard of everything. So just because you're tired doesn't mean it's not entertaining.
Hmm.
And as you know, some athletes at 100% or 80% exhaust, like 80% maximum, I should say. I'm trying to think of some words here. Are better than some athletes at 100%. So that's
Yes.
something you'd have to kind of keep an eye on. So, maybe for informative purposes, I would say this kind of works out decent here.
Yeah, I like that in the spirit of competition. As a former coach, though, I love the idea of that during a practice
Hmm.
because when a person is tired, they're more likely to get injured. And if I have a golden arm quarterback and I'm
Hmm.
noticing that he's dead tired, okay, we're going to do some handoffs. We're not going to stop practice, but like you're not going to be throwing the ball because I'm not about to injure the golden arm. So there's
Yeah.
some benefits there, I think. I think there's more benefits to that than
Yeah.
negatives. Yeah.
Yeah, in that regards, like I can see that happening because, like, using the football analogy, we did passing drills. Okay, we're just going to stop doing this because my quarterback's arm is getting tired and everything. The
Right.
metrics are telling me so. We're just going to do running drills, or we're going to do different kinds of drills. Whereas, pitching, you're going to tell your practice, you're going to tell the pitchers to stop pitching. We're just going to do defensive drills now, or you're going to do like conditioning, just running and not using your arms. So,
Hmm.
there are some benefits. It's if you try to replace this with the human element of coaching, I think you're going to be in big trouble. But if the correct humans can use this in the proper way, I think you have something good here.
Yeah. The next segment we're going to move into is how's it going to help with officiating. We've already
Mm,
discussed the first one that we put on here, which is the NBA
yeah.
wants to use, I think it's called Sony's Hawkeye system to generate instant decisions on boundaries, clock violations, things like that. But
Mm,
something that our listeners can hopefully, because we have a lot of international listeners, I'm sure everybody knows the FIFA World Cup is coming up
mm.
very soon in the United States. We're hosting along with Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
And so in 2026, they're integrating an AI into officiating and player analysis, as well as the fan experience. But what's interesting with this one is referees are going to be using a system that builds in with millimeter accuracy 3D recreations of players' bodies to resolve contentious plays in milliseconds. So if
Mm.
you don't have a good angle on something that might have been a penalty, you're going to be able to see it from a different angle or the proper angle that you want to after it's reconstructed by AI to then make a call.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest thing I can remember with this and using like FIFA or what have you, are you familiar with the Hand of God goal in the World Cup? No, you're not. I can tell by the look
No, I'm
on your
not.
face.
I'm sorry. I do like the World Cup and I
Yeah.
love the Euro Cup, but
Well,
no, I'm not familiar with that one.
I forget the player's name, but it was Argent. I think it was from Argentina. Let me just kind of take a look at here. But um,
Oh God, were they playing Brazil?
basically, no, I think they were playing England. Hold on, I'm
Okay.
taking a look at this real quick.
We want to make sure
Uh,
we get this right for our international listeners.
I love Gemini. So controversial. In 1986 between Argentina and England, yes, in Mexico
Okay.
City. So basically, it was Diego Maradona's. Basically, he jumped up, and as he was jumping up, the ball kind of like went by his head a little bit, and he sort of like snuck his hand to hit the ball
Uh,
over the goalie's head.
I know exactly
Um,
what you're talking about now. This,
okay, yep, you've
yes,
seen this. You've
I
seen
have
this
seen
now.
this. I
Okay.
completely, I didn't know, and now I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, basically, it was a handball, and the referees didn't see it because they weren't at the right angle and
Yeah.
everything, and they didn't have as many referees as they do now. Whereas, if you're at the World Cup, you have referees all over the place
Hmm.
looking at everything. And it was very controversial and very um very angry on the England's part of everything. So it's kind
Hmm.
of interesting little thing that happened there. So would AI have spotted that? Like if you have like the 360 degree and then you can challenge it and you essentially took out a cheater. You essentially take out a cheating move.
Or yeah,
So
an injustice.
yeah, an injustice. So is that bad?
Yeah.
Like, is that really a bad thing? Um, a lot of people will argue human error is part of the game, but when you catch somebody blatantly violating the rules or blatantly cheating, it becomes difficult to really argue, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think to wrap up the officiating part, I think we're heading towards the right spot where it can help us with the instantaneous stuff to keep the game going, something that's not, but the subjective stuff needs to be settled by the human element.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's like a place that I can go, but you gotta like replay. I think basic replay does a lot of good. Right here, basic replay would have gotten rid of the hand of God goal,
Hmm.
but other things, maybe you can use it for anything. But
Not to
either
mention,
way, segment three, the fan and broadcast level. This has been
yeah,
going on for a while, like
Yeah,
game stats.
this has been happening with AI as well as other computer devices. It was heavily used in Paris in 2024 with the
Hmm.
Olympics.
Hmm.
Basically, something that could do is AI could basically make instant highlights. It could generate multiple clips, personalize feeds,
Hmm.
immerse the venue experience. And those of you that are watching on television, it's been doing a lot of this since it's came out. That's not a surprise to anybody.
Hmm. Yeah, this has been basically going on for a while. You see all these like really crazy game stats that go up, like
Hmm.
predictabilities, like win probability, shot probability, everything like that. Um, Personally, from a fan's perspective, meh, I'm not really into it to be honest with you. I just
Right.
like watching the game. And as the entertainment factor, I don't need to know all these numbers. And I'm a tech guy. I work in the automation industry. We deal with numbers all the time. So I don't
Yeah.
really like
Now,
have much desire for this.
the main reason why I'm excited about this is because of a prediction that I think is going to happen. I think,
Okay.
unfortunately, I think they're going to rob us of a lot of money to watch sports. That's just how it's going. The
Hmm.
days of watching, turning on ABC and guaranteeing to have your home team are gone. You're going to have to buy
Yeah, it's so
subscriptions
sad.
and all that stuff. But what I think is going to happen in order to justify that, they're going to have to give us options. And I would love, as a football guy, to watch the play like normal from television, and then while the players are in the huddle, watch the replay smaller, but from the end zone area, so I could see the wide receivers' routes and I can also see how the line was blocking. That's
Hmm.
such a big deal for me as a former offensive lineman and defensive guy. I love it, and I love that angle. I think that's going to be a real thing soon.
Yeah.
That as a fan, I can pick the angle I want to. We've already started to experiment with this with ESPN on Monday Night Football. You can get different angles, different perspectives, different guys commentating.
Hmm.
I think we're headed this way with your viewing option, and that I'm kind of excited about. I really do think that's going to happen, where I could just see the play in the angle that I want to see it, so that I can know what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's coming.
Um, yeah, maybe. I mean, I personally just like to watch the game. I mean,
Hmm.
I've played sports in my life, same as you play sports in your life, and some people are more into it. I just enjoy seeing the game. I'm kind of not really worried about all this, so I mean, teach their own, I suppose.
Hmm. No, it's all about the experience, and are
Yep.
the fans willing to pay for it? If you give
Hmm.
me multiple angles during a football game, so I can critique the Cleveland Browns, and someday they call me and listen to me, I am willing to do that. Um,
Yep. Yeah, that's good luck with
yeah,
that one.
yeah, they're still
But
not
but but
calling me,
no.
Brian. No, they're not
But no,
calling.
I think if you do a kind of a paid for people who want this stuff, maybe that would, work out well for them, I suppose.
Okay.
If you're willing to, I would rather not pay for that, but hey,
Yeah.
teach their own, like I said. But anyway, segment four. Now this is an interesting one.
This is interesting.
And
I think this is where the first red flags start to go up for me
yeah,
personally.
this
Yeah.
is like kind of something you don't think about, but when you
Mm,
mention it, it's kind of an issue. Betting and gambling. Using
yeah.
AI influence bet AI to make bets, I should say. Sorry, I'm like fumbling over my words
I
tonight.
it's all right.
Um and it's kind of an eye opener when you really start to look at it.
So I'll share with you full disclosure when we were prepping for the episode and we were putting together the outline, when I brought up that we need to talk about AI's impact in gambling and sports betting, I think half the sources that it originally came were all tied to the fourth segment here.
Hmm.
AI and gambling and the impact that
Yeah.
AI is going to have on gambling. And then I learned that they're predicting gambling is going to be the worst vice for young men ages, I think they said 50 through 25 in the next 5 years.
Hmm.
The gambling algorithms, I mean, it's in my face all the time. I don't gamble. I mean,
Yeah.
I might fill out a March Madness bracket two a year. That's the extent of my sports gambling. And it's
Hmm.
in my face all the time. I play fantasy football and it's in my face. So
Hmm.
now it's going to get real creative because AI is always used to be smart. If somebody can make money off it, they're going to do that. Um,
Yeah, this is kind of where it kind of worries me, and what really worries me is prop bets.
yeah,
Infamous, as Cleveland sports fans as we are, for some reason. What was his name? Our recent closer, got busted for
yeah.
fixing prop bets
He
and
shall,
everything.
he who shall
Yeah,
be remain unnamed.
yeah, we're gonna let the trial play out, but you start to look at different prop bets and everything, and AI is going to start predicting all these different prop bets, and it's only a matter of time before that, one guy, that one relief pitcher comes out and he's making, league minimum or whatever, but hey, there's a prop bet on you that this is going to happen,
Hmm.
and it's like someone's going to be in his ear, be like, hey. I'll give you $1 million if you make this happen for me because
Yeah.
AI is totally against this. And I can win big with this one bet, and they're going to do it. It's already happening. AI has a potential to make that worse. So I think we're going to need to revisit legalized sports gambling. At first it was kind of like everyone's like, oh, no big deal, who cares, or what have you. But when you really start to look at it, there could be some problems, some
I
major problems with this.
At the same point, I also think AI could help deter that by catching it quickly. If
Yeah,
they don't, because that's what AI
perhaps.
is good at, data and trends. Wait a minute, all of a sudden people are betting that this certain relief pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, excuse me, Guardians, who shall remain unnamed,
Hmm.
was doing this, and it's weird. Like, why is he pitching like this all of a sudden? And also, why are people betting that he's going to pitch like this all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I think it could catch it. I really think they need to start doing that in poly market, but that's a whole nother episode and that's a whole
Yeah.
nother type of gambling.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
mean,
going to keep it to sports.
yeah, definitely. But I think it does have it if you get those people who think they can just get away with it over and over again.
Hmm.
And once in a while, like if you do like a different prop bet here and there, and you're smart about it, which I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if people are continuing to get away with this, but they're just smart
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
I was looking at the specific individual, and they showed an at bat, and it said one of these had a bet on it, and the pitch that he threw was pretty bad.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah, just a bit low, just a bit outside, and it's not always that obvious. I'll tell you that right now.
Hmm.
So, it can track serial uh AI manipulation. AI can track that serial AI manipulation, but at the same time, you can use it to your advantage as well. But it can also make bets for you, which is
Right.
also kind of a strange thing because it used to be like, oh yeah, $10, this team wins. Oh, I didn't win or whatever. But now it's become a major system,
Right. The live
which
betting
is becomes an
explosion is
issue.
what it's called, which is what
Hmm.
we researched. Live betting explosion. So, because of AI's assistance in connecting dots and connecting numbers and using AI to want to keep people gambling, about 62% of online sports betting revenue came from in-play wagers in 2025. And
Mm.
this one blew my mind. This stat right here came from Mobile Mall,
Hmm.
Mobile Mall. DraftKings now offers 517 live betting options per game, which is up from only 124 in 2022. 517? What are we betting on?
Everything. Like people
Yeah.
are betting on everything, and it's just this has you know oh, can't think of the word, just manipulation and abuse all over it. Like this is like such an easy abuse line here.
I,
I mean, you bet on who wins. Sometimes you bet on the coin flip. Like, is it gonna be heads or tails? I'll bet you $1. I've done that before.
at
We're
least that makes
so,
sense.
yeah, like I've been sitting around watching the Super Bowl with a few friends, and it'd be like, "Hey, I'll bet you $1 it's heads," and like you're on. It's like, okay, so stuff like that's just fun. It like just enjoyable. But some people are just like getting into these numbers with the gambling, and it's when it's all numbers, AI is great with numbers. Put two and two together. Betting is going to have a lot of issues.
It
In,
is.
in in my opinion.
I think it's going to be because of AI. I think it's going to become easier to get addicted to this. Or
Hmm.
and AI is going to be good at making you think, oh, you can win your money back. You just need to
Hmm.
bet on these parlays to happen. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the case now. However, you and I are not gamblers.
No,
I,
I
I,
do not gamble.
yeah, and I know a guy who does. He's a hockey dad, and he's pretty decent at it. Apparently, he's made like $20, but he only bets like 4 or 5 cents, whatever, here or there. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess
well,
you're not
I
losing
mean, something
much,
like
but
that, I guess, is a little bit fun just to have a little bit of fun. But maybe some methadone if you're
yeah.
like a gambling addict or something like that. But yeah, I worry about you know organized crime with this, to be honest with you.
Well,
Like the big thing, back in the day, the most famous one is when the White Sox were paid to throw the World Series. And then, people's counter arguments to everything started to become, well, players make so much money right now, the mob can't pay them the amount of money and everything. So, but you get these players and these prop bets making minimum wage, and this opportunity comes along to boost that pay a little bit.
yeah. Well, one of the things that was predicted according to WSC Sports was that
Hmm.
AI is going to be able to detect loss chasing or sudden behavioral changes that signal problem gambling and nudge users,
Hmm.
which will help push back against that. However, I still think you're right. People are going to throw it. If
Yeah.
you're going up to a college kid, which I still think is easier to do, even though in the nil era, I think it makes it a little tougher, but it's not hard to go up to a college
Hmm.
kid who doesn't have a lot of money and say, hey, man, all I need you to do is miss a couple shots in a basketball game and make sure you keep the game within 10 points. That's it.
Hmm.
Like if you guys go up 20, I need you to find a way to turn it over to get it back within 10.
Yeah,
And
especially, the ones that aren't making a lot of NIL money. I still don't know how all that works. I'm kind of torn on the whole thing, but especially that player that knows that, this is the end of the line for me. I'm not going pro.
right.
They have a real like those are the vulnerable ones.
Yeah.
It's not the superstars. It's not the big name players. It's the players that are, average below average who are vulnerable and everything. And as team sports are there, you need all these players. So that's kind of my biggest worry right there is to find those vulnerable players or what have, or to think about what could happen with those players or what they would be doing.
Excellent point because now you bring us into the predator syndrome, which is
Hmm.
this is from UCLA's Timothy Fong, Fong. He warns that AI can create predatory scenarios where vulnerable users with mental health issues or addiction can be manipulated or targeted without their knowledge.
Hmm.
I mean, everything you're saying, yes, it's possible. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically an intelligent way of saying what I just said.
yeah,
Um, I kind of read that too, which kind of made me think as well. But um, yeah, this is yeah, the vulnerable ones are the ones that are can cause a lot of trouble with this. So
yeah.
I wonder how much of this sports gambling is going to be scaled back because we kind of let the genie out of the bottle and we can still put it back in. Like that's the thing with this, like just the sports betting part of it. Like AI, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, obviously, but I feel like sports betting, we can still get a hold of this, because of regulations and such.
I think we can. I'm not so sure we will because of the money that's being made on it.
Yeah, you know what? Those people that are making that kind of money, they talk
They
to a lot of the politicians writing these laws or
and
voting on these laws.
if something changes and they realize they need to make changes, they're already 2 steps ahead to continue to make money somewhere else.
Hmm.
Um, Here's another thing that I'm worried about. I just want to call this one the reality check. If you are a gambler and you are looking up or asking AI, who do you think is going to win this game based off these stats, these starters, and things like that, you're begging for a world of trouble. Uh, here's a big, big, big human element in sports, and
Hmm.
I've always said, you in football and other sports, as a coach, you could tell another team your game plan. They still have to
Hmm.
out execute you to stop it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have athletes who have the right game plan. You can't stop nothing. It's not going to happen. So it's just not a good idea. And don't ask AI for fantasy football advice either. It's not good at that.
Yeah.
And I could speak from personal experience on that one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen to our resident fantasy football player. I don't touch fantasy sports,
Oh,
so
Brian,
that's
I've
all
been the
on you.
commissioner for 14 years now.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm very happy for you.
And it's
Yeah,
all
just
guys from our hometown. That's the funniest part.
Yeah, just don't start making fun of people that play Dungeons and Dragons. But anyway,
I do
um,
not. There was once a time.
yes, but no. Anyway, we kind of digress for
Right.
that, but kind of gone over all our points. Just to kind of wrap it up and everything. I think there's a place for AI in sports, with kind of like some analysis and everything. But once again, and this kind of all goes back to our biggest point that we have every single time, use this as a tool. And if you have the right humans using the tool, I think this could really give an edge. If you have people relying on this, then yeah, you got the problem and everything like that. But I think there definitely is a place for this.
I agree with you. I think there's more positives out of this, including things like speeding the
Hmm.
game up, helping players during practice, minimize injuries. How soon will this be able to spot concussions that you
Hmm.
can't see in live time as a coach or as an assistant? I think there's a lot more positives. The gambling thing, that's a big negative, but
Yeah.
there's going to be more positives out of this than negatives, I think, in the time to come.
Yeah. Depends on how it's implemented.
Hmm.
As a tool, this has a great way to make sports more entertaining. As a crutch or a reliance, this could really ruin the game, I think. But also, like I think hit the nail on the head with the gambling.
Yeah,
This is like something that's really going to be an issue right there. But yeah, I think, like you said, more positives and negatives, and kind of looking forward to where this is going. But either way, I think that about wraps it up for us this evening. I'd like to give everybody a big thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to us. My name is Brian,
and I am Adam.
and you have been listening to the Layman's AI, and we will see you next time.